Army Reserve soldiers at Dover Air Force Base for the dignified transfer. While there, I had the opportunity to briefly meet Sergeant Declan Coady's parents and his siblings, and Major Jeffery O'Brien's wife, children, and parents. I also met the family of Chief Warrant Officer Robert Marzan. He and his family were actually longtime residents. Two of his kids are here of Iowa, and his wife shared that even after moving out of state, they still considered themselves Iowans. So you will notice that anytime we talk about it, we refer to them as former Iowans. These soldiers, along with 3 others, Captain Cody Cork of Florida, Sergeant First Class Noah Tegens of Nebraska, and Sergeant First Class Nicole Amar of Minnesota, served together in the U.S. Army Reserves of the 103rd Sustained Commandment that's based here in Des Moines, and died together in an Iranian attack in Kuwait on March 1st. So regardless of where they lived, they actually trained together in our state, they served our country, and they sacrificed their lives for our freedom, and we will never forget. Tomorrow morning, I'll be attending homecoming ceremonies in Des Moines and Cedar Rapids for Iowa National Guard soldiers who've been serving in the Middle East for the last several months. Among them will be soldiers from the 1st Squadron, 113th Cavalry Regiment, who served with Staff Sergeants Howard and Torres Tovar. These 2 brave soldiers also made the ultimate sacrifice when they were attacked by an ISIS gunman in Syria just 3 months ago. And of course, we will forever honor their memory as well. And tomorrow, we'll give a hero's welcome to all those who are returning home. Nothing compares to the immense pride and gratitude you feel at these events. It's one of my favorite experiences as governor, but we should always celebrate. But I think, we should always celebrate our service members. We absolutely owe them a debt of gratitude for their willingness to step up and to wear the uniform and defend the freedoms that we get to enjoy every single day. And one way that we can do that is by ensuring that our veterans are supported throughout their lives. And that's why I introduced a bill this year that will ensure Iowa veterans receive all the benefits that they're eligible for by providing state funding to counties based on veteran service officers' performance outcomes. Rather than every county getting the $10,000 annually, counties will be funded according to their current VA compensation per capita and incentivized to increase it. So the top third of counties for VA comp per capita will receive $15,000, a 50% increase from their current funding level. The middle third is guaranteed $5,000 in parent bonus award of another $5,000 if the VA comp per capita increases by 5%. The bottom third gets a base of $2,000 with a bonus award of $3,000 with a 5% increase in per capita compensation. And so we're not just putting that in place, we're also putting a lot of things in place to help them get there. So to help them achieve their goals, the state will also invest in tools to support their success. The Iowa Department of Veterans Affairs will also be providing training and on-site technical assistance free of charge for our veteran service officers, and the state will modernize the claims process by implementing a single statewide system that eliminates paper claims and improves the overall experience and outcomes for veterans. And it really will help us kind of track metrics and make sure that we're getting into those counties where veterans aren't receiving the services and the benefits that they deserve, and we can really focus on helping that veteran service officer get these veterans the benefits that they deserve. So by aligning resources and improving efficiency, we can ensure that all Iowans who served our nation, again, receive the benefits that they earned. Yesterday, I'm excited to say that the Senate passed the bill with bipartisan support, which underscores, I think, just how important veterans issues are to all Iowans. I want to thank them for moving the bill forward, especially at a time when we're asking so much of our military service members. So please keep our fallen soldiers and their families in your prayers, as well as all of our American troops that are still in the Middle East, including our remaining Iowa National Guard soldiers and airmen who are still deployed. And with that, we will, I'll take your questions. Would you just
related to that bill you just talked about, what do you say to concerns from some of the county VSOs who are worried that they will lose funding?
Well, then we have to get better at what we're doing. We have to stop, just allocating money and not having any expectations or outcomes tied to them. And we're ranked better. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not just saying, you know, we're not gonna help you get there. We are gonna step in and help. We're automating the system, which is critical. That will free up more time for them to actually work with the veterans and figure out ways to get them the services. And we're also incentivizing. So even with just a small increase, they can draw down more dollars that in that fiscal year. They don't have to wait until the next fiscal year. They can draw it down once they reach that percentage. So, you know, I think what our goal should be to make sure that all veterans that deserve, all veterans receive the benefits that they're eligible for. And this, I think, will help get us there.
Governor, I believe you signed the bill saying that local counties can't have civil rights commissions that are more protective than the states. Tell us about why you decided to do that.
Well, first of all, it like you said, it prohibits any protections outside of the scope of the state protections. And we just believe that locals should follow the state laws, especially when it comes to civil rights. Otherwise, we have a mismatch of rights out there. We felt that it was the right thing to do. I think we forget that it also matches the federal law. So now the state law, the local law, and the federal laws all match. Our bill that we passed last year matches what they do at the federal level. And one of the reasons that we did that is it does have an impact on protecting girls' sports and making sure that we're protecting girls in safe spaces, in restrooms and in lockers. And so that was at jeopardy if we have a hodgepodge of mixed laws within our state. And we thought that it was important that they be consistent, and so the legislature is on the way out to my desk.
This morning, during the key drivers of cancer presentation that was given to the House, one of the things, the key drivers of cancer presentation.
Okay. Yep.
One of the things that the researchers mentioned was monitoring pesticide use in the state, a program that California does. Does that sound like something that you would be in favor of in the future?
Well, I think, you know, we did the $1 million appropriation to the University of Iowa with the Department of Public Health. It's a 2-year project. They're gonna report out in June, the second phase. They've got a lot accomplished with the first phase. But the second, and then in the following year, and kind of leading up to that in the second half, is really figuring out how we start to measure the impact. So we're doing something similar, and we're basing it on science, and we're basing it on recommendations of the University of Iowa. So right now, we've invested in a plan, we've invested in science and expertise and experts in figuring out what that looks like. I don't know if you were at the press conference that we did when they did the presentation, but there's not a lot of data out there like there was with the first half to really measure and make sure that we're doing it accurately. And so they're making sure that when we're trying to do an analysis on Iowa versus other states, that we're looking at the same things and we're consistent in what we're basing those measurements on. So, you know, there's other reports out there that'll, I'm sure, factor into everything, but right now we'll probably continue down the path that we're on right now, see where they're at, and then we'll reassess. But in the meantime, thanks to the federal Rural Health Transformation Fund, gotta be an easier, shorter way to call it that. I think I can't even remember what the 3 letters are, but you know, that gives us access to $50 million where we can really start behavioral issues was a big part of that, behaviors, and so that'll allow us to start addressing those and see if we can start to see some movement there.
Governor, also during that presentation, there was a question asked about water quality and just our state having access to data to be accurately looking at all of that. Do you think the state should be providing funding to have sources to monitor water quality and drinking water sources across Iowa?
We do monitor some of that, I think. I don't know to what extent, but I think, you know, we'll look at all of that. Everybody
was removed. The funding was, it was defunded.
They still have, and we have to make sure we're putting those sensors where we need them, but, you know, we have to look at the larger picture too. So that is things, those are things that we can look at moving forward, but, you know, I think we have to look at all ways that we can measure some of those variables.
On that, presenters also highlighted the importance of a potential tobacco tax for rates of lung cancer in the state. Earlier in the session, you proposed your own tax on cigarettes and tobacco products, and since then, part of that was stripped out of the healthcare-related bill in the House. It's still kind of moving in the Senate. But what would you say to members of your party regarding this legislation, as some are weighing raising taxes during an election year and addressing the state's rising cancer rates, especially lung cancer?
Well, I think I already said it to them. I put it in my bill. So that says that as much as I don't like raising taxes on people, that I think the figure is 70% of lung cancer can be it's not a fact of I don't wanna do this or I don't wanna do that. You know, we have to step up and take a look at everything. And as I reviewed the information that I was getting, as I looked at the report, from the University of Iowa, I felt that was the right thing to do. And that's why I put it in my bill. It's not easy, they're getting a lot of pushback, I know that, but, and ultimately, you know, I continue to support it, but we'll see what happens through the legislative session. Dave?
You have already gone through this process many times that the candidates are now doing this week that we've been chasing around as they turn in their signatures. You will no longer in your life have to go through this process. Unless you have an announcement. I wonder if you could sort of talk about like what's that experience like, especially when you run for a statewide office, and maybe the value of, especially if you legit do it and get to all 99 counties, like what's that like as a candidate?
Well, it's important, it's a lot of work, it takes a lot of time. Most of the time, a lot of the candidates don't have the resources to stand up some huge team to get out and do the work for them. So they're, you know, they're using volunteers, they themselves, I was out there collecting signatures. It's an opportunity to have a one-on-one, you know, connection with people when you're asking them to sign your nomination papers, just like asking them to donate $5, $10, $50, whatever, you know, that's a commitment to your race. So, and it's important, it takes a lot of time. It was important to us, since it was a statewide office, to get nominations filed in every single county. I mean, that's not the threshold, but it was important for us to do that. I mean, there were times where you wouldn't have wanted to pump gas and be pumping gas at Casey's, because I would hop out of the car and say, hey, no, I wouldn't. But we had team members out everywhere, you know, doing what they could to get the signatures. So I you know, kind of sometimes I forget that I don't have to do that, and it's kind of nice to not have to do it. I'll be honest. It'll be something I won't have to worry about for a while.
Your administration, your health officials have said they're gonna pull pharmacy services out of the MCO system. Do you think future governors should have the ability to make similar changes to the use of MCOs?
Well, I put that in my recommendation. So I know this is something we can just do without it. So we worked with the Stock Bank, we've had so many changes and taken so many different paths, but it was something that we were able to work with HHS to take a look at. Other states had done that. Again, there's a shortfall. This was an area that we felt that we could receive more benefits and help address some of the shortfall. So, you know, we worked with the legislature to maintain that process, and we'll see where that goes.
Governor, a few weeks ago, you announced a new child welfare technology system. Wondering how will that improve the day-to-day caseload for workers who are trying to make sure that they're retaining records, and then how will new technology, you know, improve recognizing patterns of abuse?
I can't wait to talk more about this, and I'll bring the caseworkers in, but the great part was that they were front and center in all of the development and really talking about what they needed and how we could make their process easier. It is a game changer for them. Instead of spending so much time just putting data into a computer, they actually can, you know, voice record it into a computer. It just really modernizes the whole process and frees up their time to do what they what they want to do and what they signed on to do, and that is to work with families and kids. So I think that this will have an unbelievable impact on our ability to help kids and families through this process. And I can tell you they are over the moon with what we're seeing and what they've developed. We're hoping, you know, we're on schedule to get it done in a year, which is just unbelievable. I know businesses out there probably can't believe that a year is like light years away from what it usually takes. Usually a process for any type of platform with government is a 3 to 5 to 7 year process. By the time you wait for CMS to sign off on the RFP and then on the vendor and to move forward with actually implementing it. And so this will be done, we'll be able to do this at half the cost in like a fourth of the time, and it will be a game changer for our caseworkers. So when it gets closer and we have more to share, I'll bring them in. I'm gonna let them tell you all the impact that this has on really what they signed up for, what they wanna do, and that's help kids and help families. And this will help
Just
just
clear, is
printing different
whole,
data.
we were working on a green screen. So just think about that. It's 2026, and they are working on a green screen. You probably don't even have a green screen. She doesn't, so go look at it. It's like Kobo. It's bad. It is bad, bad, bad. And so this is like, I'm taking one more question and then we'll be good. This is a game changer. So, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. Governor, have you learned anything else about the soldiers who were wounded in the strike that killed some of the Iowa service members? Do you have any updates on the wounded soldiers?
I think I was able to tell you last time, all of them but one are at Walter Reed's. I can't remember if I was able to give that update, so,
You had said last time they were in Germany.
yeah, so all but one are now at Walter Reed and receiving care. And families that were able to go are there, so, that's probably all the information that I can share, but they are, for the most part, back home, and we're hoping to get that last one back home soon. Thank you, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everybody.